Hello and welcome, it's me Nathan, your friendly neighborhood support engineer. In today's video, we're going to go over Call Park and how to use Call Park. So for those of you who are not familiar with what parking calls are, some people refer to them as orbits, but in this case I have a very handy PowerPoint presentation to show you that will help you understand how we work with Call Park. Now, like all call features, it all comes down to starting with an incoming call. That call could be directed any way you see fit as long as it hits someone like a receptionist or someone who can have the ability to park this call. So in this case, the receptionist is going to talk to them, figure that they need to park the call, and possibly get that call picked up by a third party. So now the receptionist is going to go ahead and then park the call, and we have three methods on doing that, and we'll explain that later. Once they hit the Call Park button, the UCM will be notified of the parking call feature. The UCM will then notify that a caller has been placed on the first available parking lot, which is 701. That same information will go out and be distributed amongst all other phones that are also monitoring that Call Park status. From there, the receptionist is probably going to alert the third party to go ahead and pick up that person on line 1. And then they are connected with the original caller. Now, like I said before, there are three ways that we can park a call. Honestly, my favorite is the one-touch solution, which involves pressing a monitor call park key that can either be set on your line or on a programmable key, such as a VMPK or an MPK, depending upon what phone series you have. The other alternative that we have is parking the call by transferring it to the parking lot valet of 700. Once you transfer that call to extension 700, it will then distribute it to one of the available parking lots. Last but not least is programming a dedicated call parking soft key. Both transfer and the call park keys are actually enabled in the same page, which will make it easy to demonstrate. But with that being said, let's go ahead, dive in, and I'll show you how to configure this. Alright, now that we're in the system, I'm going to go ahead and explain basically what I have here to test this. I currently only have one extension registered, but that's technically all you really need. And I also have a VoIP trunk, which I can call in on and actually direct that to the extension I'll both be parking and receiving the call from. Once you have those basics, you are ready to test this call feature. And in order to navigate that, we're going to go to Call Features, scroll all the way down to Parking Lot. Now, as you can see here, this is the default parking lot of the UCM. We have our parking lot valet, which is 700. That extension will actually distribute any calls that you transfer to one of the available slots, which is 701 through 720 by default. Now, if you guys are interested in the one-touch solution, I highly recommend using parking lots as extensions, having that enabled. This is usually a feature I always have enabled. This will actually help you transfer the calls as well as get that one-touch solution like how we mentioned in the first example. We also have a lot of other cool features in here, like giving the parking lot a name instead of default lot. You can give it some other name of your choice. We also have the ability of changing our music on hold, or what would be the ringback tone by default, and that's what you can see right here. Now, we could use the ringback tone if we wanted to, but a lot of customers don't like to hear a constant ringback, so by keeping it at default, you'll hear the system's default music on hold tones. Now, you can go into the music on hold section and actually change which prompts that you want to play, or even add your own, but that's another video in itself. Now, moving forward, next we have parking timeout. Now, for example, by default, let's say extension 1000 parks a call, and it hits the timeout of 300 seconds, which is currently the default value inputted. Upon failure for anyone to answer that parked call, it will then call the originating parker, extension 1000, back. Now, you're free to change this value beyond or below this value as you see fit, but just be aware that it will by default try to call that extension back. Now, for some reason, you want a little bit more flexibility. Let's say extension 1000 had multiple registered endpoints rather than the original endpoint that parked the call, because an extension could be registered to more than one place at one time. Let's say we wanted to ring all those extensions. If that was ever the case, you want to enable ring all on callback. So not only is the originating endpoint going to get rung back, but also all other endpoints that are registered with the original extension will also get called back. So just know you have this as an option if that extension has multiple registrations in different locations. Next, we have failover destination. So let's say extension 1000 forgets to pick up the call, or no one answers the call from the call park. You can use failover destination as an option if the callback fails. So meaning extension 1000 got the callback call but failed to retrieve it. You can then input a failover destination to whatever extension or whatever external number that you want. All you have to do is enter that number in the failover destination. However, there may be a case in which you don't want it to ring back directly to the extension that parked it. If that's ever the case, then you want to do forward to destination on timeout. This negates the other field, but what this will do is instead of calling back the originating person who parked the call, like extension 1000, you can just put in an alternate destination, like a receptionist or even an external number or an external answering service. Basically, you're limited by what number you're allowed to put in here, which is basically limitless. Now that you know all the options to the call part, we can go ahead and save these settings and start programming the extension options. Now I will get to the one-touch solution as far as parking and unparking a call, which is usually the favorite, but before I do that, I'm going to show you how we can offer call park as a feature code, or even transfer as a feature code. Now, in order to enable that on our extension, we actually have to enable it on the UCM to even provide that as a valid option. And we can actually do that by going to the feature codes, feature maps section, and as you can see, we have call park as one of our options. By enabling this, anyone that picks up an active call will see right underneath their soft keys, which are the keys that are below the LCD screens on most phones, a call park option. So from there, they can hit that call park and then it will be parked in the call park. Now, one of your other options, which technically isn't related to call park but will be useful if you want to transfer it, is enabling the blind and attended transfer. As you can see, you can restrict who's allowed to do what as far as transferring or even parking. So you can allow the caller or the callee only to park the calls. But in general, I tend to just allow both. By enabling this, that phone will also have a transfer soft key being presented. However, it will not work if you don't save and apply those changes. Now that you know how to transfer and use a soft key to park calls, we're going to move on to my favorite solution, which is the one-touch solution for call park. And to do this, we actually have to go into the phone and add this as an option. Now currently I'm in a 2140 with an extension board, but I'm just going to go to extension board. As you can see, it looks like I've already have call park pre-configured, but if you look closely, we do actually have two options: call park, which is good for third-party servers, or monitor call park. Now, if you want the one-touch solution, you're going to be going with monitor call park, and from there you can go ahead and add all your call parking lot zones like 701, 702, 703, and you can keep on doing this as long as you have available VMPK or MPK keys. Just make sure that whatever account you're setting it up with, it's going to be the account that's currently registered. So I know on this phone, my account 1 is currently registered as 1003. So if I want to use this, you want to make sure that the corresponding account is programmed with the key that you have set up. Hit save. Now from there, I'm looking over on the phone and I can see the green call park lights lit up. If for some reason you don't see them come up initially, there's a good chance you might have to reboot the phone in order to get them to resubscribe, but as long as you do that, you should be fine. Now that we have the configuration portion out of the way, we can go ahead and start demonstrating this. And in order to do that, I'm actually going to show you what it looks like on active calls. I'll actually be calling into the system, hitting my extension, and from that same extension I've used to configure it, which is 1003, I'll be parking and unparking the calls. Alright, so the first test, I'm going to go ahead and call into my trunk. There it is, ringing extension 1003. Now I can answer, confirm the person on the other line, who they are and who they may want to speak to. At this point, I will transfer using my transfer soft keys. So I'm going to hit transfer, and it gives me the option to do the blind transfer. And you could either transfer it into 701 or through 720, which are the parking lots, or you can transfer it directly to the valet, which is 700. And I'm going to go ahead and transfer it to the valet, hit blind transfer. And now I can see parked at 701 my cell phone. From there, I can either call in to 701 directly or hit my physical VMPK that's configured with monitor call park, which I'm going to do that. Picked up the call, and as you can see, I am now talking with the caller that we had just parked on the call. Now, our other option that we have when I call in is to do a call park via soft key, which we had also enabled earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. All right, there I am calling in again. This time I'm going to answer. I have now answered the call. From there, I'm going to hit the call park soft key. Now, there's going to be a difference here because you're going to hear this. 701. Now, you heard how it said 701. That's basically our system telling us that when we use the soft key to park the call, it announced where it parked that call at, so you know how to call that person back. Now, instead of using the VMPK, I'm going to go ahead and just dial 701 and dial that number. And from there, I've already picked up the call and I'm now connected. Last but not certainly least, I'm going to go ahead and call back into the system, and this time I'm going to use the one-touch solution for monitor call park. So I'm going to go ahead and call back in. It rings my phone. Now, with the monitor call park solution, I can touch any one of the call parking lots that are currently available, which you could find out by the indication of them being lit in green. So I could actually park it at 704 if I wanted to. If I need to pick it back up, I can also just hit 704 in my MPK. Now I have picked up that call again. And I could do this as many times as I want. So let me go back to parking it at 701 using the same method. It parked itself back at that one. I'm going to go ahead and pick up that call again. And I have picked up the call. And call parking is as simple as that. Well, with that being said, I've demonstrated all three methods on how you can transfer to the call park. If for some reason you wanted to get more data than that, you could always go to the CDR and download the CDR information or open it up in live view. You can see that separately. But beyond that, I think that will conclude today's GS tutorial. And with that being said, you have a good one. We hope that you found that video tutorial helpful, and if you did, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to our channel for the latest in video tutorials. I'm Nathan Sharp. You have a good one.